isn't this interesting? If I didn't know any better, I'd say that the game that I'd played for Halloween last year was getting an anime. No joke? What? I mean, I had already acknowledged that it was supposed to be a thing, but I didn't actually think it was going to happen. I mean, I thought it was going to be one of those things where somebody said that they were going to do it, but never actually got around to making it. Looks like despite my misgivings, Satsuriko no Tenchi is really getting an anime. And in the same season as Cells at Work, no less. Why? Angels of Death is an RPG Maker game, and these kinds of anime happen very, very rarely. The only times I'm aware of this ever actually happening in the past were Corpse Party and that Ao Oni movie, which I'm sure the latter really wasn't that popular. I hear nothing about it nowadays. I heard this game was popular in Japan, and I mean it is on Steam in English at this point, and it already has a manga, so I guess it's got a lot going for it. Personally, I'd rather see Ebe, Madfather, or The Witch's House, but I guess this is okay too. I mean, it wasn't that great a game, but for some reason, I am really looking forward to this. So, if you want to see what this game is all about, the full playthrough is available on my channel, and the link to that playlist is below. But for those of you who just want the bullet points and don't know anything about it, I'll give you the rundown. See this girl here? This is Rachel Gardner, otherwise known as Ray. And she's just woken up in the basement of a mysterious building and does not remember how she got there. Ooh, mysterious. She has become a sacrifice in some sort of cult game, and her only job is to stay alive and try to escape. Details notwithstanding, the lost little girl asks the friendly gentleman with the scythe to please kill her. Yes, even Zack the Ripper thinks this is weird. Then onward, the two of them go through the layers of this hellhole to fulfill one of the strangest promises I've ever seen in any form of entertainment media. Bad news and good news. The bad news is, even at its most tense, Angels of Death is not really that scary, even by the standards of an RPG Maker horror game. Good news? It makes up for that with some mystery and intrigue, which is a thing that I'm kind of rude to admit, because as I was playing it, I had my gripes about how long it took for us to figure some things out, but you'll see why in a minute. Again, it's probably just a gripe of my own. You see, Satsuriko no Tenchi, or Angels of Death, is not what I wanted out of a video game, at least not by the time I had finished playing it. While, as a rule, I'm not a very big fan of the horror genre, I can attest to the plot and at least one of the characters being intriguing enough to want to follow. However, it is very straightforward and barely challenging when it comes to the actual gameplay. The puzzles are simple, and you're practically spoon-fed the answers. The playthrough is so guided that I don't mind spoiling the worst part of it now. For an RPG Maker game, or an RPG in general, I am dissatisfied with the fact that it only had one ending and doesn't really give you any choices, or barely the illusion of choice, as it were. There are times where the only thing the player is required to do is read paragraphs of dialogue and press the continue button, one of which is for such a long time that I'm willing to bet that it will take up an entire episode of the aforementioned anime adaptation coming this summer. The sheer amount of reading when compared to playable material and exploration makes it come across as more of a visual novel than an actual game, and even then I'm inclined to say that a good portion of visual novels require some thought on the part of the reader when making decisions, and furthermore on that point, if you want to compare it to a visual novel, we can say it's a very poorly drawn one because it's an RPG Maker game. The graphics are less than ideal to get the feelings of the characters and the story across. Was that all one sentence? Wow. Now, the whole thing about the graphics not being able to get the story across as well as it could is made up for by the music. The music really helps supplement the tone of the story where the visuals lack. But the bottom line is, I don't recommend this game as a game for people to play. I had always said when I had finished playing it, that the story, interesting though it may be, is not suited for this kind of format. It's something that if you had the opportunity and were interested in the characters and the story, you might as well read the manga if you have the opportunity, or now watch the anime, because again, I feel like it's better suited to something like that. This isn't a good game. But yeah, in spite of myself, I am somehow looking forward to this. I am of the impression that the story has a lot going for it, but the game, as a way to tell it, was less than ideal. But now, will the anime be able to successfully get the story across the way that I theoretically think it should be told? Well, looking at the preview, I'm seeing a lot of promise, but as is the case with many a preview, all of the images can be chalked up to probably the first episode, if not the first two, if we're lucky. It does look great, though. Like, I can't help but be happy with how it's turning out. Dang it, the game wasn't even that good. Here we see the Crackers trying to keep expectations low because getting too excited is setting the grounds for heartbreak. But I get to see Zack smashing gravestones in anime form! Yeah, I have so many mixed feelings, but it's all just boiling down to excited waiting at this point. I have so many questions. How are they going to handle the tone? Will they repurpose any of the music from the game? I know that's unlikely. Can anybody tell me what the odds of that are, though? Because it would really add to the experience, and I love almost all of the music, even if the game is still a little lackluster in and of itself. Are they going to change anything? How close is it going to be to the original story? Are they going to add anything? Are they going to censor out all the blood and stuff with black or white blurring? I don't think that would be necessary, but with Japan, you never know. The order of events is likely to be a little out of place compared to the game, but I've come to terms with that, and that's usually not a big issue, at least not with me. Is Rei going to be a more interesting main character in the anime? Because the difference between the game and the anime could really make the difference when it comes to character impressions. It looks like they have what it takes to bring the settings out of this pixelated world into full anime glory. How is it going to sound? I don't get too much of a sample from this PV, but it sounds good so far. Will Crunchyroll be simulcasting it? Hopefully. Will I convince anybody to watch this based solely off of this video? You know, I wasn't going to give that much thought. I have my own gripes about Angels of Death, and it's hard to insist other people give it a shot. Cells at Work is another case. It's an entirely different beast. I don't mind telling everybody to watch and support it. There's nothing ugly or controversial about it. It's wholesome fun. But this... my only reason for putting the tiny little "I am possibly suggesting people give it a shot" on the table, because, well, if this gets really popular, then maybe there's a hope for an anime made out of other games that I consider more worthy. Madfather, Ebe, The Witch's House. I'd love an anime of any of those, even more so than the escapades of Little Lady Ray and the world's dumbest serial killer. Something to consider. If it catches your interest from what I've said, good. Watch the playthrough, go into the anime blind if you want. I'm not going to blame anybody if they decide to give it a pass. It's not that good, but I still like it. Maybe in a kind of guilty pleasure sort of way? I don't know. I might be romanticizing my memories of playing this game a little bit too much. Anyway, I had wanted to keep this one shorter like the Cells at Work video last week, but there's so much more for me to say about the multiple facets of Angels of Death and my convoluted feelings for it. It's intriguing and a little mysterious, with some horror tones thrown in, a couple of interesting characters, or just one, really, Zack. But as a game, it's hard to recommend playing. Hopes are high for this one, but I will try again to keep a lid on videos made about this, because, I mean, I already know most everything about it. I've played it. Oh yeah, I will probably also make a reaction video to the first episode. But on the pretense of coming full circle on my theory about it, I will definitely have a video out at the end of the series reviewing and comparing it to the source material. And those are just some of my plans for the future. Thank you so much to everybody who watched this video all the way through. It has been a pleasure talking about this again, and I appreciate those who take time out of their day to listen to the ramblings of this random anime fangirl. As always, comment if you would, and maybe I can put some thoughts into the comments as well that I can't be brought to bother people with here. I could bring all of my thoughts on this together for an extended video if you like, but I expect that to happen later when the review/comparison has to be made. Like this video if you liked it, and subscribe for more spam like this from my channel, or follow the Twitter linked in the description below as usual, along with a playlist that I mentioned of me playing this game and voice acting horribly. Suggestions for future things of most sorts, anime to watch, manga to read, art to draw, etc. are always welcome, and as always, I hope to see you next time, people of Earth and elsewhere. Ciao! Oh, Kathy, I am not looking forward to you.